Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Bent.
And I'm Bobby Trippett.
And today we're talking about 1972's The Big Birdcage.
Tomorrow the revolution, tonight we feast. That's my motto, baby.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Why is it knockers? I don't know.
Look, ain't got no real rhythm.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles.
Oh, the hell with women's live. I'm horny.
And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
It's for jacking off. Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
So guys, we're here. We're talking with we're on the Patreon request for the month of January 2019, which is The Big Birdcage. It won in a vote. And guys, we are finally introducing Pam Grier into the Grindbin.
That is
That's right.
so overdue. I can't believe it took this long.
One of her most random movie roles, The Big Birdcage.
It's a pretty great one, though.
It really is. She kind of carries this movie. Her and Sid Haig are basically, the attractions for sure. And everybody else is kind of filling out space, I'd say. This also revisits one of our all-time favorite directors in terms of grindhouse cinema. I believe he's only appeared on this show once, which finally makes him a Grindbin All-Star. Writer and director Jack Hill.
Yes.
And you know him from all the way back in Switchblade Sisters on this podcast.
One of your favorite movies?
Oh, yeah. So, no, he's back. Jack Hill. An interesting movie. It certainly has his tropes.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I can see this movie existing shared universe with Switchblade Sisters.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I think that's like with a lot of his movies, though, because they all have that kind of same vibe to them, and you could feel like it. Because this could also exist in the same universe as like Big Dollhouse or...
Well, isn't this the sequel to Big Dollhouse?
Yeah, it's kind of the sequel. I mean, obviously, it's not a sequel.
Well, it's still the... Well, I mean, it's the prequel to Big Mama's House, too.
Yeah.
It all connects.
Big Dollhouse was 1971, so this was 1 year after it. So yeah, I get it's definitely trying to capitalize on the Dollhouse craze, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that.
We finally get Pam Grier, who plays the character of Blossom in this movie. We'll go through it real quick. I mean, she doesn't really need an introduction, but 104 credits. Her first movie role, I did not know this, was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls in 1970.
Really? Wow.
I did not know that her first movie was that. And her second movie was the Jack Hill Women in Prison epic, The Big Dollhouse, 1971. And then she was in 1971 Women in Cages, because they're like, she was good in that one prison movie. Throw her in another.
It's what the people want.
It's like they tried to do that with Linda Blair. And, yeah.
No.
Turns out she's no Pam Grier.
No.
I would say, guys, I don't know if you agree, but as far as women in prison movies go that we've covered on the Grindbin, this is probably my favorite.
Yes, definitely.
I'm inclined to agree,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, hands down, this movie is very weird, and it feels like they had a set, and they're like, I guess we could make it a prison. It's like either a prison or a summer camp, and like halfway through the movie, they're still trying to decide which way they're going to go.
Yeah, they didn't know where they... Yeah, because they just finished wrapping like a Vietnam movie, it seemed like. And then, well, we got this left over.
Yeah, in the trivia, they apparently claim they go, this was filmed the same place as Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
I mean, they're like the camp that Marlon Brando runs or some shit. Okay, I can see it. Like you just see Dennis Hopper wandering around the set of this movie too. All right. So she was in 1972's The Twilight People, then this movie. Then she's in another movie that I absolutely love, and I believe it's the same director as the guy who made Savage Sisters, which has been on the show, which is 1973's Black Mama, White Mama.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but I've been trying to get that movie on the show for years now.
Oh, every movie you've mentioned so far is coming to the Grindbin.
Yeah, eventually, as long as this show lasts, yeah.
Honestly, Pam Grier is the Grindbin. Everything she touched.
Yeah, well, do you think her next movie, 1973's Coffee, would be on here too?
Absolutely.
Yep, and that's a Jack Hill movie. And then she was in Scream, Blackula Scream, The Arena, which is a real classic, Foxy Brown, another Jack Hill movie, Bucktown, and Friday Foster. Friday Foster, that's also kind of like, I don't know, everybody remembers Foxy Brown as far as like Pam Grier starring movies, but Friday Foster is pretty freaking awesome as well. So.
That's the one where she's the photographer, right? Yeah, I like that one a lot.
And she worked steadily for decades. and she appears in random big movies every now and then. Obviously, Jackie Brown.
I mean, one could argue that's the movie she's most known for.
I would say, yeah, mainstream, I'd think, right?
Yeah, which is funny seeing as that's a movie that's kind of a celebration of the movies she'd already done.
Yeah, and by the way, Sid Haig makes a cameo, Jackie Brown, right in the beginning as the
And
judge.
that's a famous behind the scenes story.
I know that she wasn't told that Sid Haig was going to be the judge, and when she came into the set, she just burst out laughing at the sight of him as a judge.
Yep, exactly. It's like, this motherfucker.
It really was like kind of a big hit for her because the year before she was in Mars Attacks, and if you remember her role in Mars Attacks, it's not that, hey, it's Pam Grier, it's just that, oh, she's in this, like kind of like a cameo thing. Like they had a whole bunch of random people in Mars Attacks, like Jim Brown and Danny DeVito and all these people.
Tom Jones,
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, and she wasn't playing like Pam Grier, she just plays like a mom in the movie.
Kind of like how Jack Black wasn't playing Jack Black.
Exactly. And then like she goes into, well, I mean, he was still playing Jack Black, just I guess military black, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in The Jackal.
Yeah.
Where he gets his arm blown off.
Yeah. But then 1 year later, she's starring in Jackie Brown, which is arguably, like you said, Bobby, probably her most mainstream success. And she's fantastic in it. And I mean, we don't need to play up the Tarantino Jackie Brown movie.
Yeah, I'd say it's either Jackie Brown or Ghosts of Mars. You know, those are the two that people really associate.
But you know, here's something. I never watched this show, but did you guys know that she was on every episode of The L Word?
The L Word.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, she's one of the main characters on that show.
No shit.
So that's what she was doing for most of the 2000s. And she's still working. So Pam Grier is an icon. And man, I can't believe it's taken almost 3 years to get her on this show.
God damn. What the fuck is wrong with
The
us?
show will never be the same.
So here's another one. Guys, there's a lot of them in this movie, but Grindbin All-Star Anitra Ford, who plays Terry in this movie. Grindbin All-Star from the B-Girls.
I was going to say, I think
Yes.
she's a B-girl, isn't she?
She is. But we didn't cover her background then, so she only has 22 credits. But she was on 963 episodes of The Price is Right, guys, from 1972 until 1976, because
She's one of Barker's Beauties?
she's one of the original models.
Oh, shit.
No kidding.
I thought you were going to say she should like trying to sneak in as a contestant wearing different Groucho Marx glasses all the time.
Yeah, for 963 episodes.
Yeah.
Come on down. It never happened. So.
Yeah.
Little known thing, she actually played the Plinko board.
Yeah, that's right.
That was her.
So well, guys, actually, she was on a game show. She was on 5 episodes of The Match Game in 1976 as a contestant.
5 times.
She 5 times. And nobody picked her, maybe. I don't know. But for 963 episodes, she was one of the original Price is Right models.
Damn.
But she was in a movie in 1972 that I've never heard of, which is a Peter Sellers movie called Where Does It Hurt? Which I was immediately, when I read the title of that, I'm like, oh, that's a porn. Oh, never mind. It's a Peter Sellers movie.
Yeah.
So there's a new game we can play, guys. Is it a porn or a Peter Sellers movie?
I like this. I like this a lot.
Just for each of the title.
Log jamming.
Sellers. That's when Sellers plays a lager. So 1973, Messiah of Evil. 1974, Dirty O'Neill. It's not a porno. It's about a police officer who has very little work as there's virtually no crime in his small California town until a rape happens.
Oh my God.
Oh, shit.
When you can't get Bronson, you get Dirty O'Neill.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bronson's he's got a full workload. Can't handle it.
Send in Dirty O'Neill. And then, guys, she appeared in 1974's The Longest Yard with Grindbin All-Star Burt Reynolds. Candace Roman, who plays Carla. Guys, Grindbin All-Star Unholy Rollers.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, she only has 3 credits, which is this, Unholy Rollers, and another random movie. Carol Speed, though, who plays Mickey, she's the one who keeps antagonizing the tall lady, which we'll get into all that. 18 credits. The New Centurions, 1972. 1973, she was in a movie called Bummer. Here you go. A touring small-time rock band called The Group picks up a couple of groupies. One night, the band's drunken, hulking bass player goes nuts and rapes her.
Whoa.
The band refuses to believe that he's trouble, which leads to more tragedy.
Fuck, it's always the bass player. God damn it.
Chris, that's the only reason I read it.
God damn.
But here's the thing, Chris, is that they believe their bass player. That's where they go wrong.
Oh, that's even worse.
they do.
Fuck.
If somebody says the bass player raped me, you go, yep, and you find a new one. And is it a way out? Basically, that's like everybody's always always looking for a way to replace the bass player. They're like, finally, clean break, guys. Here we go. We got it. Yes, he did. Throw the book at him, officer.
Yeah.
Take away the key.
Back to Craigslist we go.
1973, she was in The Mac. She's in a movie called Savage.
Savage has the best trailer, and the movie does not live up to the trailer.
Oh, so basically like half the Grindhouse movies, or I'd say 2/3 of Grindhouse movies. Yeah,
It was just such a I tracked that movie down for so long, and then to finally see it and go, that's it.
Oh, one of those too. You're on the hunt forever.
Oh yeah, because the trailer has one of those like, he's more than a man, he's a death machine. You're like, oh fuck yeah, he's savage, and then you watch it and it's boring.
Yeah.
Wasn't so savage. No, that was like Demon Cop for me. I searched for years, and there's not even a trailer, and then we find it. We're like, well, that was something.
And it
That was something.
amazing, transcendent, life changing.
Yeah.
So she was in a movie called Abby in 1974. I love this. She stars in the movie. Here's the description from IMDb. A possession film about a marriage counselor who becomes possessed by a demon of sexuality when her father-in-law, an exorcist, freed it while in Africa.
Yeah, Abby is basically Black Exorcist. Around the same time as Blackula and Blackenstein, Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde.
Her dad comes home from Africa and she's uncontrollably horny because she's possessed by a demon. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you, I found that in Africa. Some sort of demon or something. Yeah. I don't know.
With the trend of the other movies, I'm really surprised that they didn't call it The Blacksorcist.
Seriously, man. Missed opportunity.
Bobby, they tried to put that on a poster, but it just didn't read right, And they're like, let's just go with Abby. We got it between two titles, guys. Yeah. It's Abby or Blacksorcist.
I'm telling you, had it been called The Blacksorcist, it'd be remembered better now.
Fuck yeah.
I think so.
I'd wear that
instead
shirt.
Of
fuck yeah.
Abby. Abby doesn't explain shit. She was also in, by the way, which will probably be on this show at some point, Rudy Ray Moore's absolute epic 1979's When Disco was still alive and kicking in 1979, right, guys? Disco Godfather. Yep, yes. She appears in that. And then, guys, we got two more Grindbin All-Stars. Vic Diaz, who plays Rocco in this movie. Guys, he's in Savage Sisters.
Not only Savage Sisters, he's also in Raw Force. He's the leader of those cannibal monks.
So Vic Diaz...
fuck yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into the role he plays in this movie, because wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, of course, Grindbin All-Star Sid Haig from Savage Sisters. Guys, he's back.
Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be back again.
I honestly can't believe that he's only been in one other episode of the Grindbin.
Yeah, man. We're making all the weird choices on this one. Well, Brian Bonsall, why not Sid Haig? God damn. Where's our fucking priorities, guys? Fuck.
That's going to be a shirt, Chris. Brian Bonsall, but not Sid Haig. Guys, so a little bit of trivia. Here's the first one I saw on IMDb, which I was like, yeah, sure. Is a little piece of trivia. It says, Jack Hill decided to make this film in order to distinguish it from other entries in the women in prison genre. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, nice try.
I mean, he made a women in prison film 1 year before, but now he's like, it's played out. I'm making it as a joke now. Right, guys? Whatever you say, Jack. Hey, guys, the prison camp... Somebody wrote this at IMDb. The prison camp guards or dogs were actually military dogs, and hence very dangerous.
Oh.
Okay, great. The dead duck that Sid Haig hits Pam Grier with? Real.
Oh
my God.
Shit.
You think he surprised her like that? Like he surprised her being on the Jackie Brown set? You think he brought a dead duck to Jackie Brown, too?
Well, what he did is he shouted at her, duck, and then he threw it.
He's like, I'm back, and so's the duck.
Yeah.
So apparently they removed several frames of the infamous Rocco rape scene in order to avoid getting an X rating.
No.
And in my opinion, they could have just removed the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they kept it, so we're going to have to talk about that.
Huh.
And man, whew, the titular sugar mill contraption was apparently designed by Jack Hill's dad. So what did he just like fucking show? He's like, hey Jack, I got this idea. I don't know, maybe you put in one of your movies. It's like a big mill or something.
Yeah, he wants to make like another Tower of Babel movie.
But he's like, you think you can fit that in the movie? He's like, I guess. I don't know.
It doesn't need to be there. No.
It really doesn't, Chris. The big bird cage, which has nothing to do with birds or actually being a cage. And you know, the cover of this movie shows a bunch of women in the bird cage.
Yeah.
They're like I'm looking at it right now. It's a chained woman, and then there's a woman like strung up with a rope, and then there's a bunch of women in this bird cage.
Yeah.
No, they're not. It's a fucking grain mill or some shit.
But it got guys to go see it.
Well, that's true. They're like, they're gonna be in that big bird cage.
Yeah, they'll be picking at all the seeds, I bet. Yeah.
Oh, it's just a grain mill.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's still big. And then, guys, I didn't write him down, but Andre Centenera,
nailed it.
Who plays the warden in this movie. He's just in a bunch of Philippines movies because this movie is clearly filmed in the Philippines. He apparently demanded to be brought to set every day in a limo.
Of course.
You know, we're talking about where they filmed this movie. It's like basically, like Chris said, the freaking camp from Apocalypse Now or some shit, right? It's like a Vietnam set.
Yeah.
And there's always one fucking asshole who demands to be brought to set in the middle of a jungle in a fucking limo.
Brando.
Yeah, they just left it there for Brando. So, you know, years later, Coppola's like, why is there like an off-road limo out here? Guess that works. So, guys, we start, which is just really weird, is we just start with women walking barefoot down a hill, and they're like, I don't know, picking rice or something?
Yeah, they're kind of like a chain gang.
Is Pam Grier in this scene?
I couldn't tell. I didn't think she was.
I don't think so. No, she's not, because her character hasn't gotten to the prison yet. Yeah, so she's not in that scene.
And Terry's not in this scene, right?
No, none of our main characters. It's just showing a bunch of women walking down a hill. And the movie kind of treats it like, but let's not worry about that right now. And we move on to another scene.
And it's almost like this is like, if it's a double feature, like, don't leave, there's women in crop tops. And everybody's like, oh.
Okay.
So we cut to a restaurant now.
People are entering, and there's a sign up at the front of this like club restaurant that says, please check your firearms here.
Yeah.
Gives you an idea of what kind of establishment we're dealing with.
Right.
It's either a Filipino nightclub or a comic convention.
It's very true.
You know, I gotta say, this movie does not make the Philippines look very nice. It really doesn't sell it to me.
You know, you don't think the Philippines tourism board was on with this?
No. This feels a lot like a Night Force type of situation where Jack Hill was like, I don't know, it's a shithole. So we're going to make it look like a shithole.
Right.
Thanks for letting us film here.
In fact, they don't even use, for the crew, they didn't have bathrooms. They just had everybody pee everywhere and shit all over the set to make it more authentic.
That's what he said. He goes, Philippine rules. And just... It's Chris, you know where they had the big hole where the bird cage was? That was also the bathroom.
That's right.
In fact, guys, little known trivia they didn't put on IMDb, the big bird cage doubled as the head. It was the bathroom for the crew.
Mm-hmm. It
flushed and everything.
That's right. Often people would say, I got to go hit the cage.
We're in this restaurant, right? And everybody checks their firearms at the front. But Pam is singing in the bar. Okay, and Sid Haig is playing guitar for her.
Yeah.
And Sid, guys, he just can't hit the right fucking chord, can he?
Like a first-timer on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, or like a Saturday at Guitar Center. Come on.
And Pam is getting livid.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she looks like Chris Mann on stage when somebody plays a wrong note, guys. And, like, if you've ever been to one of his shows, man, it gets uncomfortable when Chris dresses down a guitarist in the middle of the crowd.
That's right.
Stop the song. And so, yeah, Pam pulls a real Chris Mann. And she goes, that's the wrong chord.
She's like, I said diminish seventh. For fuck's sake, diminish seventh.
Yeah. Which is dissonant shit.
And so she goes, I'll show you the right chord. And she grabs his guitar and she smashes it.
Yeah, so she's got like a wrestler gimmick guitar.
Yeah, it's like the Honky Tonk Man's guitar.
Yeah, she honky tonks that shit. I loved it.
Yeah. And just like Honky Tonk Man, she also hides a machine gun in it.
And the whole band starts pulling guns out of their instruments. Like the drummer's pulling stuff out of the bass drum.
That was Honky Tonk Man's finisher, right? Like he would break a guitar and then pull out a machine gun and shoot the other guy to death.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, hardcore match. Yeah.
That's how he stayed the Intercontinental Champion for years.
Yeah, I remember that famous SummerSlam match where he shot Dino Bravo to death.
Yeah. Still on life support to this day.
Yeah.
So no, she has the gimmick guitar. Yeah, everybody's got. So apparently, by the way, they hid the gun in the guitar, but the rest of the band didn't need to hide their weapons because they just pull them out, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, it could have been nice to have a scene where they're like breaking drum heads and pulling out, machine guns and
they
stuff.
should have had like the Tommy gun rounds and one of the snare heads that's round, and they just pop it out and just stick it in there. Would have been great.
Chris, I love it.
That would have been great. And the drums all shaking like da. That's all like doing like a blast beat as he shoots.
If you play the drum too hard,
Yeah, round goes off.
basically it's like a casino inside this bar, and they're robbing the casino game. Sid Haig just decides to randomly kidnap Terry.
Yeah, who, by the way, we got an introduction to Terry right before the guns started coming out, where someone goes, "Hey, who's that?" And another character says, "Oh, that's Terry. She's the American actress who almost got the prime minister into a pistol duel over her." And she's not taking this seriously at all. Like, she's like, "Is this even real?"
I thought you meant the actress. I'm like, yeah, she isn't. She's just kind of like,
that too.
Is this even real?
Yeah.
Is this really a movie, Mr. Hill? Sid and Terry, like, he basically steals a car, but the old couple's still in the back. Is it like a cab or something?
Yeah, it's a taxi. They do a Grand Theft Auto on a taxi.
Yeah, and just like in Grand Theft Auto, he's also going to finish that taxi fare. Because you might as well get the fare if you're going to steal it, right? Get a few bucks.
Because, see, he threw Terry over his shoulder, and the rest of the crew ran out without him. And so there's a moment where the Jeep screeches out, and he's running after it like Rerun, and that's why he turns and carjacks the taxi with the family inside.
And so he's driving off with Terry, and then, they have quite the dialogue.
You better drop this in, Mike.
Oh yeah, this is where we get, when he mentions that he's a revolutionary, I got a lot of problems with this, guys.
Go for it.
Can you tell me when the revolution's going to start?
No, and he can't tell his men that either.
This is such a great running gag throughout this whole movie. Is it's like, yeah, we'll start the revolution tomorrow, or maybe next week, or maybe next month.
It's a little cloudy today. Maybe when it's not so inclement.
Yeah, it's like, how everybody's saying, we're going to do something, and then you just can't find a date. Yeah.
For them, it's like trying to plan a night to like learn how to play D&D before you actually like play D&D. It's the same fucking...
Chris, this is like, everybody talking about, like, we should start a band one day, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, how many times I've been in that room for that one? Fuck.
Yeah, we should start a band, and I'll play this, you play that, and we'll practice one day. What do you think? Yeah. Well, I'm busy next week. How about the week after? I don't know. Why don't we play it by ear, right, guys?
Yeah.
And then eventually somebody's just going to be like, you know what, guys? I was thinking the revolution's kind of just more in our minds, right?
Yeah.
It's like a state of mind and not so much an action.
As long as we live it through each other, it's alive in its own way.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how the revolution is in this movie. Spoilers, there's no revolution, but it's, boy, is it a fun way trying to get to the revolution, because they just need a couple more things before they're ready, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some people, maybe some guns, maybe some coconuts. We'll find out.
Sid recognizes her. He goes, "Christ, I know who you are. You're that crazy chick who's been shacking up with half the government. I ain't gonna get a dime for you. Hell, they'll pay me to get rid of you."
Hey.
So this lady has a reputation for sleeping with government officials.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw the dialogue she had with Sid, so
Yeah. So that's when the cops show up, and he goes, "Baby, this is where you and me part company." And he takes off, leaves her in the car, and winks at her before he takes off. He goes, "Tell me I went the other way, will you?"
And I gotta say, guys, already, this is maybe my favorite Sid Haig role.
Oh, he's so good in this.
He is great. And I didn't know that he's never really this funny or great, but it's like, man, He's really bizarrely charming in this movie.
Yeah. And like you say, he's like a Crispin Glover of this film. When you say bizarrely charming.
Yeah, and I'd only known I knew him in Spider Baby, where he's kind of playing a weird guy, and then of course in the Rob Zombie movies, he's playing a very specific kind of character. I've never seen charming Sid Haig.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of gets into that in Savage Sisters, but this is way, way better than that role.
No, he's downright a lovable rascal in this movie.
And so he jumps off a bridge, right, and just leaves the car, and Terry and the old people are alone. And then the cops come over and they're like, arrest the white lady.
Yeah, like, we found the accomplice, and she calls the cop an idiot. She's not taking anything seriously.
She does exactly like Linda does in Red Heat.
Oh, yeah.
God.
I'm an American, you idiot.
Yeah, I'm an American. Just let me talk to the consulate, because we go to the interrogation, and she says basically the same lines from Red Heat, and they say the same things back to her, like, yeah, sure.
They actually point out to her that your country is so embarrassed by you that I don't think they're going to be much help.
Well, she does not have a very good reputation.
No, I think she's sort of got a Lindsay Lohan thing going on, where everyone's like, that lady's a hot mess.
Yeah.
That's why she ran off to the Philippines.
I don't think America's missing her, is what they're saying. So we get to prison, and we see, guys, the giant bird cage, right?
Yep.
Do you think they had this grandiose plan of, like, the bird cage, it's going to be, like, great, and they're all going to be held captive in this big bird cage?
It's actually a scheme for them to build a giant cappuccino machine. Little do they know.
Yeah, or it's maybe just a way to crack a coconut. Like, I'm thinking, like, what?
It's a
What
Rube
is this
Goldberg
thing for?
machine to crack a fucking coconut.
But I feel like they got the set and they're like, so, Mr. Hill, apparently we can't make the bird cage into the prison because it doesn't work. And he's like, well, that's the whole we sold the whole fucking poster on the idea that there's going to be all these broads in a big bird cage. Well, they can work in it. Well, I guess that'll do.
Yeah. Action.
And so we have to have this whole scene where the warden, he's like, by the way, he establishes himself as a real bad dude because the first time we see the warden, he walks out of his hut and immediately kicks a puppy.
Yeah, we really want to make sure we know what we're dealing with this guy. I'm glad it's off camera, because otherwise you'd probably share the gif of it repeatedly.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You
and I
son
tag
of a
you in
bitch.
it just to make sure that you saw it every time.
You're the worst. You're scum.
So then he goes, all right, well, here's the rules of this prison, which you don't have to stay in the bird cage. We'll get to that later, what it is. It's like a big, I don't know. And he goes, all right, so here's the thing. No special treatment, no fighting, no fornication. Those are the rules.
With anyone.
That's it. Yeah, with anyone. And then he goes, also, there's German shepherds, and they'll bite you if you run.
And they already know what you smell like. They will find you.
Yeah.
And so then we cut to Sid Haig, and I love this. So he's still like, okay, how many days has it been? Terry was captured by the cops, brought to an interrogation room, and now she's in prison. And by the way, the way you get to this prison is you have to take like a fucking jungle cruise.
Yeah.
Like you have to go down the frickin' Mekong River like it is in Apocalypse Now.
There is dialogue coming up that establishes it's been 2 days.
Okay, so in 2 days, Sid Haig is still running through the jungle.
Yeah. Pulling fish out of his pants and everything.
Did you guys get a good laugh when he pulled that fish out of his pants?
Yeah,
absolutely.
oh God.
He pulls like a live fish out of
Stunt
his
fish.
pants,
Yeah.
and he chucks it back in the river.
He really is the Bugs Bunny of this movie.
He is, because he wanders for so long that he finally gets back to his revolutionary camp in the middle of the jungle. He's like, all his clothes are just torn up and he's completely bloody and everything. Do you think this is the same river as Apocalypse Now? Because, man, imagine if the boys from the Apocalypse Now crew like stumbled upon the revolutionary camp or the bird cage.
God.
Like, are these also deleted scenes in Apocalypse Now? Because I would have loved crossovers with this.
Holy shit. Oh, yes.
He gets back, and guys, is Pam happy to see him?
Not exactly. Because,
No.
well, first one of his buddies, when he gets to the camp, goes, Django, where you been? He says, I've been to the goddamn Follies with Cher, you dumb shithead. And he punches the guy in the stomach. And then when he sees Pam, he goes, oh, baby. And she, like, smashes a spaghetti squash over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pissed because she's like, you you just grabbed some random white lady and ran off.
You philandering,
Like, what the fuck?
fornicating bastard is what she calls him. And she's got a real problem with him calling her honey after being gone for 2 days with this white lady. And so she pulls out a big-ass knife.
Oh yeah, this thing is like it's like some sort of ceremonial knife.
Oh, yeah. It's like...
Because it's like curved.
Some Mayan dagger she's carrying around. She says, I told you I was going to cut it off if you tried to pull that shit with me. And starts chasing him around.
This is like the knife they use in the Apocalypse Now camp when they cut the head off the cow.
Yeah.
And so she says she's going to cut his dick off. This is just an excuse to have a Muggsy's Girls mud wrestling scene where they just kind of wrestle around in this mud, and then all of a sudden her and Sid Haig just start making out instead of wrestling.
Yeah. And all the boys are just watching.
And then they just still watch as they retire to like this hut, and they start fucking, and the hut just starts shaking, and the boys are still watching. They're like, yeah.
And these two boys are talking to each other, and one guy goes, what a man, Django. And the other guy goes, what a woman, Blossom.
Yeah. Well.
And then they start hatching a plan. They're like, we're men. Let's steal some women for the revolution.
Yes, this is when they go, okay, guys, so I got an idea to start that revolution. We should just get some ladies.
And the guy's like, well, how many? It was 100, maybe 200? And the other guy's like, where are we going to find 200 women? Well, where are they going to find them, Mike?
Well, there's a big bird cage, and I hear they got birds in that cage. So maybe they'll have women. So that's their plan, is they go, all right, well, I guess we're going to start the revolution, but we don't have any people. It's only us four.
Yeah.
So we're going to steal 200 women from the prison camp.
Does that sound good, Sid? So we're at the big birdcage prison, and this is when we get the introduction of Rocco the guard, right? Here's the thing is, like, he's watching the lady shower, but it's immediately established that Rocco is very, very, very gay.
He says, you don't have anything I'd be interested in anyway, when the girl's starting to get a little coy.
Yeah, and that's when one lady, so I call her Bossy, because I'm not sure she's given a name.
She is.
The lady who's kind of the leader?
Yeah.
Okay, what's her name?
Her name is Bull Jones.
Okay, so I have her written down as Bossy.
We'll go with Bossy.
And she's like coming over to Rocco. Yeah, and she's just coming over. She's like, hey, how you like these boobs, huh? And he's like, yeah, not really.
And she goes, you big stud, what's up? And he says, nothing's up for you, Puda. And she goes, not even a little tickle down there? And he spits, and she goes, oh, thank you very much.
So here's the thing, is this is the funniest part about this movie, is that this is never addressed, is that every woman in this camp, because they cannot fornicate, is mega horny.
Oh, yeah.
And the irony is that all of the guards, including the warden, are very gay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say this doesn't get addressed?
Well, it does, but it's kind of funny because it's just like, yeah, so they're all really horny ladies, but they're all gay men.
I mean, because, like, one character in this, the entire arc of a character in this is, I am so horny, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, Carla, who we'll get into, our Grindbin All-Star from Unholy Rollers, cannot control herself.
No.
So yeah, you're right. It is a running theme throughout the movie, but it's just kind of funny. It's like the cruel irony. I say it, all the men in the audience in 1972, they're like, I'm God, if I could only be there as the God, I'd do it.
I'd help them all out. But yeah, Rocco has grown tired of this.
Send me there!
And so he yells, hurry up, never mind the crotch cooties, they need to eat too. And in case anyone missed it, when he said that joke, he follows it up with, get up and wash the bugs out of it like everybody else.
We cut back to Terry. Terry comes into the dorm, right? Then Bossy shows her what bunk is hers, and apparently the girls have pulled a trick on her because Terry is like the real Linda of this movie, like in Red Heat, where Linda goes into the prison, and the way you endear yourself to the prisoners is you go, "Oh, don't worry, I'll be leaving soon," and they're like, "Yeah."
Oh God, yeah.
That's a great way to make friends. You immediately come in and go, "Oh, I'm not like the rest of you scumbags. I'll be out anytime." Yeah, okay. And so they steal her stuff, right? And they're treating her like shit. And they also say, by the way, that apparently the worst type of scum, guys, is a political prisoner.
Yep. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No. And then I start wondering, what the hell? Why are these other white ladies in this Philippine jail?
It's never explained. What do they fucking do?
Well, they do. They refer to themselves as honest thieves and murderers.
They also just kind of made their way to downtown Philippine town and started committing random crimes.
I guess
none
so.
of this is like, I'm just very confused as to why there's so many random white women in this Filipino prison.
Yeah.
This is a very what a bizarre world that Jack Hill has set up here.
That's kind of Jack Hill's thing.
You know, the world of Switchblade Sisters is very weird, but we're talking about a women in prison movie where there's a giant bird cage, but they're not actually in the bird cage. It's actually maybe just for grinding coffee or cracking coconuts.
It's a coffee. Yeah, it's a coffee grinder.
Yeah, and all the women prisoners are super horny. They don't have sex with each other. There's no gay things or lesbian things, but all the male guards are gay.
So you got that, and you have a giant coffee grinder that grinds one bean at a time every hour.
Yeah. Do you imagine him pitching this? And they're like, well, whatever you say, Mr. Hill, we really loved Big Dollhouse, so if we could just get more of that. You know, now that I think about it, maybe it is kind of a spoof. Now that we're going through it, I'm like, it's a little too crazy to be taken seriously. So here's the thing, guys, is while this whole scene is going on where they're showing Terry what her bunk is, we now get the introduction of Mickey, right?
Yeah.
Mickey and Carla. So Carla is this blonde lady from Unholy Rollers, and her main feature, as Bobby said, her main characteristic is that she's horny. That's her entire plot.
That's
right?
it.
Her entire motivation is, I want to get out of prison so I can have sex regularly. That's it. And Mickey is just a troublemaker. For no reason, she just randomly starts fights with people all the time, and then when she actually gets in the fight, she goes, ah, and just runs away.
Yeah.
Terry's going to go tell on them for stealing her stuff, and this big tall lady named Karen just goes, look, I wouldn't do that because the only people that are worse than political prisoners are informants.
Yeah.
If you're an informant, you're going to end up dead.
She says, I'm only trying to help you.
And she is. Everybody gives Karen so much shit in this movie, and she is literally the most helpful prisoner.
Yeah.
It's all right. It goes really well for her.
Also, it's like, why does everybody always try to pick on the 7-foot tall lady?
It's just like being back in school, man.
Well, yeah, you picked... But of all the ladies to pick on, I wouldn't pick on her. So the next day, we learn what the birdcage is, right? Well, kind of.
Well, because we see everybody turning a giant wheel, and we have a character go, what is this big bird cage? And then everyone stops.
So to explain what this thing looks like, have you ever seen those like weird Christmas decorations where you like light a candle and it's like a big, like a wood windmill?
Yeah.
There's one of them in like Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, that's basically it. This is just a big Christmas decoration.
That's what it looks like. It's like Jack Hill's dad was like, can you like put something like this in the movie? Like, I really like this, Jack. Can you just make this into a prison? The warden kind of explains, he goes, look, it's a big mill. Now, what it mills, I don't know.
It presses sugar out of the cane.
Yeah, I think. There's no sugar cane. There's rice, or maybe. I don't know if that's actually rice.
Are you doing a poem?
Also, we have a coconut. We do have a coconut lazy river, but I'm not sure.
Are you telling me they're trying to make their own chocolate factory to compete with Willy Wonka?
That's all this ever was.
This just makes everlasting gobstoppers.
It really is kind of like a Willy Wonka because he's got the coconut lazy river, you know. They got the.
That's basically Warden Zappa. He's a violent gay Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And yeah, his Oompa Loompas are female prisoners, right? And he's like, okay, so we're gonna use the mill to do whatever the mill thing does. It was here before I got here, guys. So don't ask me too many questions. All I know is it spins around, and that ladies constantly try to kill themselves when they're on it. There are multiple times where like ladies will be on the cage, and for some reason they just go and like throw themselves off it and try to land on like a punji stick or something.
Yeah.
And that's basically the function of the big bird cage. It's not a prison, it's a mill. It's a big mill.
I think this needed Sam Neill to show up and be like, it's a bird cage.
Well, I love this part though, while he's describing it, right? They go, and anyways, if you're an informant, you're gonna get killed. And then some lady just dies and they go, just like that lady, see?
Thank you for illustrating my point.
She was an informant, now she's dead. And they're like, oh, okay. So guys, now we introduce the coconut lazy river. And this is where I'm thinking, like, I go, okay, they had two options, right? Summer camp or prison, and they're like, but the only uniforms we could get is prison. So we're going to go with prison and not vacation camp. They just kind of hang out at this river that has coconuts flowing down it. We don't know where the coconuts come from. Obviously, coconuts don't just grow in water.
Hey, in this fucking chocolate factory, you never know.
Apparently, this river is just filled with coconuts, and part of their daily routine is that they have to like pick the coconuts out of the river and maybe crack them.
My coconut river must not be touched by human hands.
I just keep writing like, man, Philippines is fucking weird, man.
That's the takeaway.
It kind of reminds me of Enter the Ninja. Like, do you think on the other end of this coconut river is Frank's farm?
Oh, definitely.
Where he has those guys picking coconuts, and they just throw them in the river, and they go, well, where do those go? And he's like, I don't know, some bird cage or something. I don't know. What is the plan? Like, what do they do with the coconuts? Is it ever explained, or is it just this just kind of exists?
They're trying to build an ultimate coconut robot, a sentient coconut robot being that will take out.
Oh,
that will
right.
basically take out everyone else that tries to oppose.
Like that Gilligan's Island episode.
Yeah, when Gilligan built the coconut transformer, but it ended up being a Decepticon.
Right. That was a
Wouldn't
big
you know it.
whoops. Yeah. The coconuts proved more durable than advertised.
And Skipper just going, oh, Gilligan, you fucking idiot. Now you destroyed the world.
And then he jumps from the bird cage. Goodbye, little
That's
buddy.
going to be our new thing. That's our new fucking sign off from jumping from the birdcage tonight, boys.
Yep.
You remember that episode of Gilligan's Island where they just walk to the other part of the island and there's a fucking birdcage mill with a bunch of female prisoners?
The old
That are really horny.
prisoner camp episode.
Yeah.
We're out of the coconut lazy river, right? And now some lady, okay, we introduced the character. Does she actually have a name? Because I just call her Crazy.
I don't recall a name.
We're going to call her Crazy. But this lady, probably the worst fucking character in maybe any Grindbin movie. She is a legit crazy person that our main character, our protagonist, Terry, tries to treat as a normal person, but she's legit crazy.
Yeah.
And every time they invite her to be a part of a scene, she just fucks it up.
Yeah.
And they should have known it here because our introduction is she just for no reason starts running around freaking out, and the warden's like, put her in the weird hut solitary confinement thing. It looked like there used to be a Pizza Hut or something in the prison, and it got gutted, but they kept the building. Yeah, so now they use it as the solitary confinement cell, apparently. Mm-hmm. So the old Pizza Huts where they keep the crazy people. Mm-hmm. And so they put her into this house for no reason. Mickey just starts fighting with the really tall lady, Karen. She just looks at her and she goes, hey, Karen, you're a big dummy. Why don't you get in there with the rest of them like you belong?
Oh, my God.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening off screen?
There's some secret rivalry that we don't know about.
Yeah, we're just being introduced to it just randomly. They get in a big fight. I'm just like, where is this all coming from?
It's yet another movie where it feels like there's a second movie happening concurrently.
Yeah, because I've seen Big Dollhouse. These characters aren't in it. This is not a through line.
Pam Grier isn't even playing Blossom.
But for some reason, off screen, a big rivalry has been set up between Mickey and Karen, and it will continue throughout the whole movie. So now we're back at the revolutionary camp. Guys, how's the revolution going? Bobby, how's it going?
It's going really well, I think.
One jug of wine at a time. We're getting there, boys. We're taking this country back.
One jug of coconut wine at a time, right?
I don't want to join this revolution.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
You'll get your beret soon enough.
So, Bobby, we had a lot of stuff planned today for the revolution. Can you tell me what it's now devolved into?
Just shooting watermelons and cheering?
That's gonna be my bachelor party for sure.
It cuts to Sid Haig in a hammock while Pam Grier is shooting watermelons with a machine gun. And as she shoots the watermelons, kids just run up and go, yay, and grab the pieces. And they both kind of look at each other like, I think things are going well, right?
We're getting some traction, right? The revolution's getting some...
Should we start the revolution today? And he's like, I'm thinking tomorrow.
Well, we got the kids on our side now. They're down.
Yeah, we got the kids. So we got child soldiers. Now we just need the mini guns for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually flat out asked the question. He goes, "Hey, when is this happening anyway?" Because he says, "You're going to be the first lady of my revolution." She's like, "All right, well, when is the revolution?" And that's when he gets the quote, "Tomorrow the revolution, tonight the feast."
And that's what he's like, yeah, because we got these kids and like their little fingers can't reach the triggers. So we got to get them the little guns. They're on order. You know, it's a real, times are tough. And then the gang shows up, right? And they're like, hey, boss, well, we know we were going to start the revolution tomorrow, but we kind of got an idea. There's this women's prison up the road with this big... You ever seen the big birdcage thing? You know, where all that... I don't know. Nobody really knows what it does, but...
Cage? I thought it was a chandelier we were building, huh?
Yeah, I thought that was just a big Christmas thing, like a Santa's Village type of place.
Yeah, it's going to be a magnificent snow globe in the wintertime.
Yeah. They do a performance of the Nutcracker in it and everything. It's great. And so then he's like, yeah, so we're thinking like we could go get those ladies from the prison and then like we could have a revolution. And Sid Haig is like, oh, okay. Well, because they explain it as they go, so like we read a book about like the French Revolution and like they had the Bastille. So we think we need something like that. But instead of a Bastille, we're going to get some ladies from the prison. And Sid Haig's like, well, I mean, if it was in a book, it sounds good to me, guys. So it sounds like a plan. How are we going to get the ladies out of the prison? And they go, I don't know, just like send Pam to prison. And that's the plan. The plan is to send Pam to prison.
I mean, they're taking the system down from the inside, if you think about it.
So then we cut back to the prison. There's really not much that goes on. Like some lady steals like a bottle of something out of the infirmary, which we'll get to, right? And then like while they're doing laundry, because there's a big laundry line, right? So we've seen the big birdcage mill, we've seen Coconut Lazy River, now we see the laundry, right? So Terry and Carla are talking it like, okay, they take a lady away from the laundry to quote get clean in the warden's house, right? Terry and Carla are like jealous about it. Because they start to go on like, oh, well, I wish I could go to that warden's place and have some sex. And I'm like, what? What? Dude, we should establish like the warden's like a 6-year-old gay man.
Yeah.
Hey, any port in a storm.
Yeah, well, yeah, Carla's got eyes for him. She's got eyes for anybody. And she's like, nah, he only wants the one girl. And we'll play the line because I'm not going to repeat it.
Oh, you're unbelievable.
That was the Gatorade rap of this movie. She
dude.
delivered that line. Everybody's like, oh, it fucking slays, right?
Oh, they dumped out a chop suey on her.
Holy shit. She gets the chop suey rap.
Which I believe they're selling at Subway.
Oh, okay. Do you think maybe
cool.
that's what the big bird cage is for? Is that it's like some sort of thing? Maybe it makes chop suey? I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out the whole movie, guys. What the fuck does the bird cage make? Terry goes to deliver some water to the crazy lady. Okay, this is when I start to get really fucking irritated, right? She goes up to the once Pizza Hut, now solitary confinement hut, and she delivers the crazy lady water, and she goes, I'm going to get you out of here. And don't worry, because I'm a white lady. I'm going to go talk to the warden and get you out.
God, man.
And the crazy lady's like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Does she know her off screen or something? Like, why is she... What the fuck's going on? I mean, I'm just at a loss. I'm like,
Yeah, I
why
don't
is
know,
she
man. I
picking
don't know.
this lady?
But where did this development...
She just decided this is my best friend.
Yeah, the crazy lady. The lady who is legit crazy.
Hey, game recognized game.
I guess. So we go back to the warden's house, right? And he has the prisoner that he likes there. And we learn that he isn't having sex with her. She's an informant. And for some reason, he has like a tape player and he goes, don't make me remind you of what I got. And he like plays a tape of her kid going like, mommy, mommy. And he's like, okay, are you going to tell me what I want to know?
And she does, but he's got to make it look like she's not an informant, so he has to send her back a little roughed up.
Yeah, so he slaps her a little bit. And apparently he has her son in some sort of compromising situation. We'll never address this again. It's just kind of haphazardly thrown in there. So then we go back to Bossy and the ladies, and they're... Okay, at first you're thinking they're, like, drinking some sort of toilet wine or something, right? But then you learn that this is the bottle that came from the infirmary?
Yeah. Well, we have a line about that where she goes, that ain't from the bottles with the guts in them again, is it?
And I write, oh,
Ugh.
I'm sorry, are they drinking formaldehyde?
You know what? Whatever you got.
Yeah, because there's names on these jars.
There's names on the chart. Like, this is where they put Carla,
Right.
Carla 1.
Right.
I'm like, if they're drinking formaldehyde, well, they won't be here long. So apparently they're getting drunk on that shit. And then Rocco and this other guard shows up. And then for no reason, they just chain Karen to the bed.
Well, they say, sorry, big girl, it's for your protection.
Yeah, and so they just... Everybody always picks on Karen. You really feel bad for her. She's like just the 7 foot tall lady, and everybody gives her all sorts of shit. The guards, the prisoners, everybody. And like, she's the only one, by the way, who seems to have some sort of shackle system on her bed.
Out of all of them, too.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, Karen.
Everyone look away. I got to roll over, do my business.
Well, that's what the jar was for, Chris. That's why I had her name on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Rocco and the guard just chain her to the bed for no reason. And then here it comes again, is Mickey just comes up and she's like, just starts making fun of her. Like, while she's down, she's like, hey, Karen, you chained to that bed, you fucking idiot, or something. And Karen is fucking livid, right? And wants to rip her head off. But the guard and Rocco just bring back the other girl and kind of toss her on a bed. And Mickey just keeps going at it with Karen to the point where Karen gets out of her bed while she's still chained to it, because the guards left her still chained to the bed, by the way. They didn't undo her shackle. And she chases Mickey through the entire dorm.
Dragging the fucking bed behind her like a man, like, we're going to kill her.
Like she's going to swing the bed at her.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Just a big overhead slam like the Hulk.
Now, did you guys wish that, like, for the rest of the movie, she still had the bed with her? Like, every scene? Like, if she's at the mill.
She has to carry it on her back like Jesus and the cross.
Yeah, they're at the mess hall. She's still got the bed on her and everything. They're like, I'm sorry, we lost the key. We don't know what to do. And so then we go to downtown Philippine Town, right? So we're just in some random place. And then Sid Haig and Pam, they're like, so we're going to start the revolution today, right? And he's like, I guess. So their plan to get Pam into prison is that they show up in downtown Philippine Town. There's like a big marching band, but it's not really a marching band. It's just one girl and a drum. They're like, hey, here's the governor of wherever we are. And then, Pam runs up with a grenade and says, take this, you pig. And it ends up just being a sparkler.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird Looney Tunes gimmick where it looks like a hand grenade, but it has like a wick.
And you say Looney Tunes, Bobby, the scene ends with Pam almost looking at the camera and going, shucks.
Right? It's almost like a Super Vixens moment, too.
It really is. And she's now on the boat to the prison, right? She's going through the... She's going through the Mekong River like it's Apocalypse Now, right? So she finally makes it to the end. And here we cut to crazy ladies let out of solitary. Terry actually got her out. Somehow she worked her political magic and got this girl out of the prison, out of the old Pizza Hut. Guys, I wonder if she'll be okay. Because there's a big party tonight, okay? So for some random reason, they're like, hey, all the bigwigs from the Philippine town are coming to be this big gala here at the prison, and we need some of our best behaved prisoners to greet them and be part of a party. And how many times is this a theme in a woman in prison movie that we've covered, where they have a party that involves female prisoners entertaining bigwig male guests?
I mean, we had that in the other Linda Blair film.
Yeah, in Chained Heat, when for some reason they let the prisoners out for the night so they can go to a party.
Let their hair down, have some champagne, knock a couple back.
Now, I've never been in a women's prison before, but I guess you get fitted for a dress the second you get there?
Yeah, just in case for gala night. Because they gotta impress the bigwigs. They gotta get that government money. So you need to impress them. And I feel like they're gonna have a talent show, all sorts of stuff. For some reason, right? They won't allow any of the other prisoners to go except for Terry and Crazy. So I wonder how this is going to work out, right? And by the way, when they're saying that there's a bunch of like bigwig guys coming, to check out the prison, I half expected the fucking cast from Screwballs 2 to show up. Like, I was really like, okay, I have a feeling where this is going.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Oh, yes, ma'am. My name is Hugh G. Rection. I could totally see that. The prisoners are nice. They give Terry her stuff back. Guys, she gets that dress she wore in the beginning of the movie, right? And she's going to wear it to the party. How convenient. And they're like, man, I wish I could go to that party, but apparently I'm too crazy. But for some reason, they're letting the crazy girl go. And Carly looks over. She goes, it would just be nice to get laid by one real man every once in a while. So now we go to the party. Guys, the party, how would you say it goes? How would you rate this party on a scale of success? 1 to 10. What do you think?
Oh, God.
1 being disaster where somebody's going to die, and 10 being a success.
I'm going for a disaster, Mike. How about you?
Yeah.
Survey says...
Guys, do you think there'd be a part when the crazy girl kind of hulks out in the middle of the party? I'm just wondering if...
I mean, who could have anticipated that?
Yeah, because here's what happens, right? They let Terry and Crazy go to the prisoners, or go to the party, right? And the warden's like, all right, everybody be on your best behavior. And so it's like a little soiree with some guards and everybody, right? And as soon as Terry gets into the party, the guards come over and they go, oh, she can't be in this party because she's a white girl that's like a political person, and she's going to immediately like try to talk her way out of this prison because she's not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. And so she's immediately taken out of the party, dragged out. And by the way, guys, this is a real, like, you know, Cinderella type of situation, because she gets, not only does she get dragged out of the party, but a fucking dog bites her dress too. Like, man, to top it all off, you know?
Yeah, right. Oh, God.
She's dragged out of the party by force. She's screaming. She's like, no, no! And then this dog comes over, and just to fucking put insult to injury, bites her dress. And so she's all upset about it. They toss her back in the dorm. So, guys, they now have left Crazy alone at the party. For some reason, we keep cutting to POV view. And if this is how Crazy sees the world, oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Because she is having a bad trip.
Yeah, it's like she's permanently in a bad LSD trip, and she's just kind of wandering around, and then she like goes into a room where 2 men try to rape her. All of a sudden, she just starts hulking out, and she fucking destroys this room like Lou Ferrigno in the Hulk. Like, she just starts going, ah! And in slow motion just starts like ripping bookshelves off the wall and like ripping beds out of the ground and everything. And they're like, I don't think we should have let her out of the Pizza Hut. She's just going fucking nuts, right?
Yeah.
That's how this scene ends. So the party, I don't think was a success, guys. Like, I don't think they'll be having any more parties.
Not really. I don't think they're getting any donations this time around.
So at the next scene, when they put Crazy back into the Pizza Hut, I don't know about you guys, but I fully agree with this decision.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
I was like, yeah, I think she should be in there, right?
You're half expecting the guards to like put her out of her misery and like drown her in the coconut sugar river with like a, you know, just a quick coconut to the back of the head, and there she goes, just kind of floating by in one scene, just kind of like a Wizard of Oz scenario, like a dead body hanging in the background. Well, oh, there she is. Huh.
I don't think anybody'd miss her, Chris, and I think it'd be really sad. But yeah, I don't think Crazy's getting invited to any more parties. I don't think she should get out of that Pizza Hut. I think she should stay there.
I think that's a wrap on Crazy.
But it's not, because she'll be back to ruin more scenes. Don't worry, guys. Crazy will be back multiple more times in this movie, and every time she's in a scene, it's a fucking disaster.
Schlep rock.
So now we cut to the warden. Guys, the warden is really pissed his party was ruined, right? Like, they made, you know, he had all the bigwigs from the government over and everything, and the prisoners, you know, maybe that's the last time we invite prisoners to the party. I mean, I know we need ladies, but come on, guys. And so he's really pissed off, and you know what? He's saying work details going up. You're going to have to operate the big bird cage a little bit more. I know nobody knows what comes out of it, but don't worry about that part. Just keep turning it, you know? We'll find out eventually. And so apparently he's working them so hard that, like, ladies are dying or committing suicide?
Yeah, most of them are dropping.
It's like a Foxconn factory, basically, in Vietnam.
Do you think this is what Foxconn looks like, guys? Do you think they just have like a big bird cage?
Oh, no question.
At Foxconn, they just have a big bird cage and people turn it and they go, and I don't know what happens, but somehow an iPhone comes out.
Yeah. It's like when you're a kid and you use a gumball machine. You don't know how the fucking comes out. You just know you put a quarter in, something happens, and you got a gumball.
Like when it was built, Steve Jobs is like, don't worry about how it works. You just turn the wheel and an iPhone comes out. And one more thing.
Steve Ballmer's looking through the window trying to figure it out. How?
Yeah, Microsoft's trying to build their own bird cage. But all that comes out of that one is a fucking zune.
Yeah. It comes out. They try for years. They zoom like fuck. Try again.
So the warden's like, all right, everybody's gonna have to work more. This is when we introduce the character of like the nurse or the doctor, the woman doctor who runs the infirmary, and she's just like kind of just shakes her head. She's like, well, damn him. This is the most useless character, and it's supposed to be like, well, is she against the warden? I don't know.
Yeah, what's your motivation or lack of motivation?
Nothing. Yeah, you're right, Chris. It's like kind of, oh man, ladies are killing themselves. That's a shame. All right, back to the movie. So now Terry's just sneaking around now, and I don't really know how we got here, but apparently she broke out of prison. She like took the Coconut Lazy River all the way down, and now she's on like some sort of Philippine town. Yeah. And she like walks into a bar and she's like, "Can somebody help me? My God, can somebody help me?" So you know how they help her, guys?
How do they help her, Mike?
They try and force feed her beer. She doesn't want any.
Was that what that was? Okay, that was more formaldehyde.
She's like, do you have a phone? Do you have a phone? And the guy's like, I have a Heineken.
Yeah, that's quite expensive to get over there.
So they take her into this random hut, and it's not a phone hut, it's a rape hut. They try and rape her, but then for some random reason, Rocco and some dogs show up, and he walks in before the rape happens, and he just looks and he says, "Darn, nothing like that ever happens to me."
Yeah.
Thank you, Rocco.
So now we're back at the prison, and oh my God. So, Chris, you talked about how they were treating Karen like Jesus earlier by having her carry her out of bed. Well, now we're like kind of doing a crucifixion. But, man, this is fucking brutal, is that they tie Terry to a post by her ponytail and hoist her into the air. Yeah, it is. Oof.
Upsetting scene.
And so this is the one funny part about this is that she's getting hoisted up in the air, and this is when Pam Grier just shows up at the prison. She goes, "The fuck that girl do?" And that's when like Mickey comes up and tries to start shit with Pam Grier, and Pam, she didn't take shit from anybody
at all.
Because Mickey's like, "You know how you last in this prison, you should lay low." And then Pam like basically grabs her by the throat and he goes, "Lay low? How about I kick your fucking ass?"
I love that.
And so then Pam, I love this is maybe my favorite scene of the whole movie, is they're at lunch and Pam just stands up, chucks her glass down the table and goes, "All right, who's in charge? Because it's my joint now."
Yeah, I hope you're going to play the line. Because
yeah, somebody calls her N-word. It doesn't work out well for that lady. Because Pam kicks her ass, and then Bossy comes in to fight Pam, but Rocco breaks it up. And then after Pam leaves, she goes, "All right, girls, you're going to pick a side. You're with me or this lady." And I'm like, jeez, this is her first fucking day.
Yeah, she's announced her presence with authority. You walk in and you hit the biggest person on the field.
Yeah, you make a fucking stand, man.
You know, this is how Linda should have come into every prison in Linda in Prison movie, right? She should just immediately establish dominance, you know, chuck a fucking glass.
Her hair's got to be like huge too.
Yeah, and she goes, "All right, who's the main bitch in this prison? Because it's mine now."
Mike, hit that. Pick that. It's Linda bitch tag right now.
Oh yeah.
Linda bitch.
That's how she makes her mark.
But the only thing is that Linda get her ass kicked by Sybil Danning immediately.
Oh yeah. Record time.
You just see Linda throw a glass, and then Sybil Danning just breaks a glass over her head and goes, "What was that?"
And then you just cut to the regular scene of Linda crying. And be like, "I want to go home."
So then we just cut to a random Street Fighter level, is that they're going to fight in the rice fields. It's like you could almost hear the thing where it goes, da, 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 da.
Yeah, because there's no real establishment to this scene. It's just we're on a hill, and then everyone starts mud wrestling.
Yeah, somebody just goes yoga fire, and then you just see like all this fight starts, and everybody's throwing each other around, and the two rival gangs are fighting, and then all of a sudden Pam just wins, and Bossy goes, "All right, I guess we'll join your crew."
Yeah.
And then we just cut to Sid Haig watching from a distance with binoculars, and I just write, "The revolution's going great, guys. It's going great." And by the way, why did we need Pam in the prison? Couldn't they just bring these girls out without her going there?
As we establish in a moment, yeah, we could have.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's just a thought. I mean, I don't know, but
Sneak in under the cover of night. I mean, that's how they did it anyways.
I mean, Sid could have done this himself.
yeah, because the next scene is that Rocco goes to a bar, right? So he goes to that Philippine bar, and Sid is there, and he's dressed like a sexy beatnik, is the only way I can describe this.
Like he was in Bucket of Blood.
Yes, he's like in Bucket of Blood, but he's also got like a handlebar mustache now that he got from the prop store in downtown Philippine town.
He looks like Luigi.
He really,
He straight up looks like Luigi Mario.
like beatnik Luigi. And Rocco and Sid are kind of exchanging glances, and then they go in the bathroom and kind of look at each other's dicks.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Well, that's what they do.
No,
They-
legitimately,
I
that's
know.
what happens.
Yeah, it is. It
They
is.
share a very interesting piss in a trough where they look at each other's dicks.
It's like, are like peeing in each other's shoes now? Because they got really close to the streams. They crossed the fucking streams.
They do, yeah, and it's like a Ghostbusters situation. It's like, don't cross them, boys. And so then Rocco is like, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" And Sid's like, "Yeah, that'll be great." He doesn't say it like that though. So now this is when Sid just puts on.
He's going for authenticity here.
So now Pam's being interrogated. Now here's the weird thing: is like the warden wants to know where Sid is because they know all about him, right? They all know all about Django. And Pam's like, "Well, I told you I don't know him." And then the guard beats her up. She won't tell.
And he does a weird torture thing. He puts bullets between her fingers and he jams them into the soft parts between.
Yeah, so he jams bullets between her fingers?
Yeah. He takes the points of the bullets and he crams them in between her fingers, which I'm sure would hurt like hell.
That sounds pretty painful. And then so she's all getting tortured, and then we go to Rocco. He's hitting on Sid, and then the other guard comes up to get him. And I guess 3's all right with him, guys.
Yeah.
Because now,
There you go.
they're trying to have a party.
You know what?
and-
We work hard, we play hard.
yeah, he says we
Oh,
got a new man. We need a new man around here, and so this is when it's kind of revealed that all of the people that work at the prison are gay. So like your prerequisite to work at the Birdcage prison is that you have to be gay.
Right.
I guess that's what it is. So like, well,
Right.
we can't have any straight men with those female prisoners, so they all got to be gay. I guess.
I mean, you're avoiding any possibility of a female prisoner seducing one of the guards.
Rocco goes and shows Pam the new toy around the prison,
And she
who is
starts
Sid.
laughing immediately. It's kind of like that story from Jackie Brown. He walks in and she starts laughing.
Well, do you think that Quentin Tarantino also introduced Sid Haig as the new toy,
Oh, you know he did.
the new toy on set?
Oh God.
So Pam's laughing, yeah. And then Pam meets with Terry. Terry recognizes her. She's like, "Oh, I recognize you from that night you robbed that casino." She's like, "Well, I won't tell if we're going to break out." And Pam's like, "Of course we're going to break out. I think our plan's to have a revolution or something. I don't know if that's still part of the movie." Because this is when like the movie just kind of derails. And they're like, "Wait, why are we in this prison again? Are we trying to break ladies out, or what are we doing?"
You're in like a Civil War mentality. Like, what are we fighting for?
Yeah. They're just like, "I think we'll just play it by ear." Yeah, that's what happened in the Civil War, Chris.
They fought for so long they didn't even know what they were fucking doing.
They just started shooting at each other, and one day they're like, "Are we still fighting?" Or I don't know. They're shooting.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is random. So, like the really tall lady, Karen, we just cut to a shot of her in a shower, but she's not putting soap on herself. She's putting chicken grease on herself.
Yeah, she's got a big old vat of chicken grease. She's Criscoing herself.
So she Crisco's herself and then runs through the camp naked, and they're trying to grab her because she's gonna go attack Mickey. And they're like, "Ah, she's so slippery."
And that's why she did it, so no one could stop her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the great part is like Mickey's just talking shit in the Coconut River, and then all of a sudden a slippery Karen runs up and she goes, "Ah!" And there's a big fight in the Coconut Lazy River. And I just write, this prison is really odd, man. It's what the fuck is what?
I don't get this prison at all.
It's like they had a set and they're like, but we need to have a prison movie, but the only set we could get is a Filipino summer camp. So we got to make it work somehow.
I really would like to see a cut of this where they've added in the music from Meatballs.
Yeah.
So like while this is going on, it's just, "Are you ready for the summer?"
Yeah, while they're turning the big grinder.
And like chasing slippery Karen around. Are you ready
Yeah.
for the good times?
Don't you remember that part in Meatballs with the coconut lazy river?
You know when like the prisoners want to escape and then Bill Murray gives that speech about how it just doesn't matter?
Yeah.
So now we cut back to, guys, they're working on the birdcage and they fucking break it because they weren't doing it right and the iPhones weren't popping out right, so nobody knows what the fuck's going on, and the warden's all pissed, right? And so at the same time that this thing is breaking, Pam and Sid plan their escape. This is when Sid says a great line as he goes, "You wouldn't believe what I had to do to get into this place." And I write, well, you bought a fake mustache and pretended to be gay.
But you wouldn't believe that.
Yeah, did you do anything else, Sid? Because it seems pretty self-explanatory. I'm like, Pam went to prison. So now the warden's chewing out the ladies for ruining the mill. And he's like, I don't care if we don't know what comes out of it. It's the purpose of it. It's been here for centuries. It'll be here for centuries more. I don't know. The birdcage has been here before all of us. Okay.
Yeah, it was just there. It's like Easter Island.
This is like a fucking Wicker Man type of situation. Like they've done the ceremony for so long.
I think Ridley Scott is working on a movie about where the birdcage came from.
Part of the Prometheus universe.
Well, we're about to deal with an out of control wheel, so it kind of fits.
Yeah, and then you know what, Bobby? He'll make the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people will criticize it, so then he'll just turn it into an alien movie.
Yeah, he'll just make one that's more like what everybody wanted.
Except nobody wanted.
Right.
So now he says, well, the only way to fix this big birdcage is to do the most convenient plot device we can find, which is Mickey, you got to climb into the birdcage, and Karen has to hold it up so you don't get crushed.
It's a punishment for their fighting earlier.
Yeah. Oh, the irony. Mickey is put down into the mill, guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't go well because a big gear falls on her.
And Rocco tries to warn, like, oh my god, it's going to fall.
Alas, a piece of the puzzle.
And you even think that scene when Mickey's down in the gears, she's like, so what is it in here? Because she's kind of looking around, she's like, I don't understand what's down here. I don't see coconuts or coffee beans or nothing. Like, what?
Not even an iPhone.
She picks up an iPhone in 1972 and holds it up and goes, what the hell?
Yeah.
So guys, she gets crushed and Karen goes into the hole after her, right? And she's all upset because Mickey's dead. So I guess they were friends all along, right?
It's a complicated relationship. That's how it would have been marked on Facebook.
And so she gets crazy.
She grabs a machete and she starts running toward the warden. One of the guards tries to get in her way and she cuts off his hand. Oh, it's badass. And then ultimately she is gunned down. And once Karen gets gunned down, then Carla grabs a machete and everyone starts arming themselves. Like the revolution's about to fucking happen.
And then Pam just kind of runs out and goes, hold on, guys. We shouldn't start the revolution just yet.
And they all listen for some reason. Like, they got the drop on the guards. We're about to have a slaughter. And Pam goes, knock it off. And they all do.
Because it's almost like, well, we don't have enough weapons yet or something, right? It's like, all we got is these bamboo sticks and they got guns and stuff. So maybe we should think about this. And they're like, oh, okay. So now the prison goes into lockdown and they're going to get more because of what's been going on. Everybody's going crazy. So they plan the big breakout for tonight, guys, right?
That's right. Sharpen up those fucking broken mirrors, everybody.
So now it's the night in the dorm and Rocco's doing his final inspection and the informant girl fakes sick so she can be taken to the infirmary. And she's like, oh, I need to talk to the warden. And they're like, not now. He's on lockdown. So she fakes sick to go to the infirmary. And then Carla and Bossy are like, do you think that she's an informant or something? Because it seemed kind of convenient that she just coughed up blood for no reason. Yeah. I mean, it didn't seem to me like she had tuberculosis or nothing. So it just kind of came out of nowhere.
In fact, she was like singing some Britney Spears song earlier. Now she's just coughing up blood. Are they two related? I don't know.
I guess we'll think about that. So then the guards leave, and Bossy tells everybody, she just stands up in the middle of a prison and goes, all right, everybody, so we're breaking out. And is just saying this at full volume, right? So at the same time, the Rocco and the other guard deliver the informant to the hospital. And there's this weird line where the other guard goes, damn, she got blood on my trousers. And Rocco goes, it looks like jism with a kidney condition.
So look forward to our new t-shirt.
Now, at the same time that we get a little blood on our jism, the informant tells the nurse lady, she's like, I need to speak with the warden right away. And the nurse is like, All right, I don't give a shit. So then we just cut to Rocco and the other guard fighting over who gets to have Sid sleep in their bed tonight. And then Sid offers some coconut wine to break the ice. The warden wants to talk to Rocco. Pam stopped the revolution earlier in the day so they could prepare. So the way they prepare is they just whittle a bunch of sticks.
Yeah, it's what it appears at first, yes.
So here's the thing, though. They have knives.
Yeah.
But instead of using the knives as a weapon, they're just going to whittle some sticks.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
I think they put the knives on the edge of the sticks, or are they just using that with the mirrors, though? The broken pieces of
I don't know.
mirrors?
Maybe they don't have enough knives to go around, so it's like, well, some people are going to have to use bamboo sticks with a pointy edge, with a slightly pointy edge, because we don't have that much time. We got to break out in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you want the bamboo sticks because by the time they finish making all the weapons, the knives are dull. So you're better off with bamboo.
They didn't really plan this breakout. The revolution's starting, but they didn't really plan it. It kind of seems like the rest of the revolution. It's just a little fly-by-night type of operation here. The ladies are doing all sorts of weird shit, right? Whittling sticks and all this. Then we go to Rocco and the warden, and the nurse is there, and she's like, I have some plot. Do you guys want to hear it? And they're like, no. And then they pick up the phone. They go, well, it's basically what happens. They pick up the phone. They go, hey, the phone line's cut. And the nurse is like, well, I can tell you what's going on if you want to listen to me. And they're like, do you know what's going on here? And she's like, fuck it. And just kind of walks out of the scene. And so then Rocco runs out to see the other guard. And now, so he was hanging out with Sid, right? And for no reason, we just cut to a scene where now he's on the floor holding his crotch. And he goes, Sid hit me in the crotch. And Rocco's like, oh, okay. And so then Rocco goes and finds Sid in the infirmary. And he doesn't immediately think that he's a bad guy. He's just like, what are you doing in here?
You rascal.
Yeah, and then he finds out that he's part of the fake revolution, and then they basically kidnap Rocco and take his gun and hold him as hostage. And so then Sid's handing out Molotovs to ladies, and he just says, kill and burn, girls, kill and burn.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, right?
Yep.
And then he just leaves Rocco with the ladies, and so Sid goes to get Pam, and don't worry, guys, just like they do with everything, the revolution can start tomorrow because now they're just going to make out for a while, right?
Yeah. But then he tells her, I've got a present for you.
And I'm like, are we still recruiting people for a revolution, or what's the plan?
He has no idea.
I think this is the recruitment for the revolution, is to break them out, and then now we got you out, ladies. Now you got to do something for us.
Yeah, that's it. They give them the hard sell after the breakout. They're like, all right, so we do have a boat, but if you get on it, you have to be part of this revolution. It's really fun, guys. We got our own camp and everything, and we shoot watermelons with machine guns. It's a good time, So are we all cool with that? What happens next is that the other guard comes out of his hut, the guy who got the nut shot, right? And then he finds out that they've drugged the dogs, and so he goes to warn the warden. Here's what I write. Instead of breaking out of the prison, guys, the female prisoners just try and rape Rocco.
Yeah.
So he screams like he's being murdered as they mount him, and they need to shut up his screams. So Jones goes, I'll shut him up, and then sits on his face. And
Bossy takes
his voice muffles, and she kind of mugs to the camera like, ooh. It's like a Russ Meyer movie all of a sudden.
It's a seriously Russ Meyer territory.
It's so bizarre. So instead of breaking out of the prison, they just decide to do that. And then, so the prison break kind of starts because they're like, turn on the lights and find that Sid guy because he's in trouble.
Now, while this was going on, he had a present for Pam, and he smashes his guitar again, and her gun is inside again.
So the honky-tonk finisher, she's got a machine gun.
Yeah.
Then, for no reason, apparently they also planted explosives around the camp because a water tower just blows up and falls onto a house, and they're like, okay, I guess we're breaking out now. And then just a giant fight scene happens, and a bunch of guards are being killed, and
when the explosion happens and the water tower falls, the girl that is riding Rocco looks up and goes, Jesus, I've never had one like that before, because we're still in a Russ Meyer movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very Raven de la Croix type delivery on that one.
So everything's exploding. A guy runs by on fire. There's people climbing trees.
You got all the hits,
Everything. I expected to see greased up Karen run by again, even though she's dead.
Even though she's dead. The ghost of greased up Karen.
The ghost of greased up Karen.
So the breakout finally happens. The ladies are killing and burning everything, and then the main girls go, "All right, well, we got to meet Sid and Pam near the river or something." I don't know. None of this is planned very well. And then more women stop breaking out to just go rape instead. And then they burn the big bird cage. And guys, they burn it so hard that the movie catches on fire.
I loved that moment. I thought that was really cool.
It pulls like it's like a real Gremlins 2. Like all of a sudden the movie just burns up.
It's like the Tingler is loose in the theater.
Yeah, because we just cut to a shot of the warden going, "Nah," and then it just burns, and the whole film burns up. And then a shitload of armed guards show up, and they just start shooting the ladies who decided not to escape. They just decided to hang out in the prison. And again, wasn't the plan to get like hundreds of female prisoners and use them as a revolution? But instead of like telling the girls, "Hey, let's break out and start a revolution," they all just hang out in the prison instead. So then Sid and Pam are making their escape near the river, right? And that other guard that got hit in the nuts shoots Sid in the back. And then Pam shoots him and then shoots a bunch of other guys while Sid's dying in her arms in the Coconut Lazy River. There's a grenade thrown at Pam. It explodes. Yeah. Cut. We will never see them again.
And I kind of enjoyed that. I'm glad they didn't get a happy ending. For some reason, it just felt like more badass.
Totally. It's a Grenaderade rap.
It just kind of ends like that. Very weird, right? And there's only like two other scenes basically. It's the next day now, and the only ladies that are left are the informant, Carla, Terry, and fucking Crazy.
She was just crazy enough to make it.
And then Carla's like, "Well, we can shoot the informant, right?" And Terry's like, "No, we can't." And I'm like, "But why is she even with them? Like, who invited her?" Right?
Right?
And then Crazy once again ruins the fucking escape because her ass can't swim, and instead of swimming, they all fall down a fucking waterfall. So they go, "All we need to do to escape is to make it across this river. We can all swim, right? Okay, great. Let's go in a chain. Crazy, you go first." And then she goes, "Ah!" and then just falls down a waterfall.
I mean, she's in that cage the whole time. She forgot how to swim. Can't blame her.
And I love this. So they're at the bottom of the waterfall now, and they're like, Carla's like, "Well, my leg's fucking broken. Thanks a lot, Crazy. I guess I'm fucking dead now. So that's sick. And now I got to hang out with the informant here. You wouldn't let me kill her, and this has all gone to shit. This whole plan's gone to shit. Why did we even try to break out? What is our plan?
Where are we going?"
And like all these guards are showing up now with dogs and everything. It's all right. It's like she wants to do like the end of Blast Fighter right here. She's like, "We're going to make a split for your leg and I'll carry you out." And Carla just goes, "We don't have enough time in the movie, Terry. You just got to go."
Terry, this movie's ending.
Yeah. So why don't you just run on out of here, leave the informant with me, tie her on a tree, and we'll handle it. And she's like, "Okay, well that sounds good. I'll come back for you." And Carla's like, "Yeah, okay." So they tie the informant up to a tree, and then these dogs just run up, and it's either Carla doesn't know how to use the gun, or she just doesn't give a shit, and she just lets the dogs eat the lady.
The gun jams. It was earlier when we were shooting watermelons. It was to figure out why that gun keeps jamming. So the guns that the Revolution is using are faulty. They have a tendency to jam at inopportune times, such as this one.
So it gets the informant killed, and it's not really a great loss. It's just,
calculated loss.
Yeah, the last scene of this movie is that Terry and Crazy are the only people that survive.
And they're found by the rest of the Revolution.
Crazy once again ruins the fucking movie. Because they're running away, and she just collapses onto a rock, and she goes, "I can't go any farther."
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, she's like, "Well, fuck, we're like out of the movie. I can see the exit. Can we just go?" And then she's like, "No, I don't want to." And then all of a sudden the revolutionary guys just show up. They go, "We'll end the movie for you."
And Terry says, "You know what? This country hasn't heard the last of Terry Rich." And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this country's hoping that they have.
Yeah. I think that they're going to just deport her. At this point, they're like, "Nah, we're not sending her back.
Question.
Like, you just need to go."
But this movie ends with the boys talking about Django and Blossom like they're folk legends.
Yeah.
They're like, they're out there somewhere in the mountains right now, fornicating. They'll be back one day. And until then, viva la revolution.
Yeah. So Sid and Pam are just fucking in the jungle.
Yeah, they should have appeared in the clouds. They're just like Mufasa.
Yeah.
Only fucking.
I almost half expected, Bobby, that the ship from Raw Force was going to dock right next to this boat.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
You just see Vic Diaz again?
Oh my God, this is a prequel to Raw Force.
Do you really? I could really imagine that these ladies would end up on that island of disgraced martial artists at some point, right?
Oh yeah.
Getting traded for Jade. So, guys, would you recommend The Big Bird Cage?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, absolutely, I would. Yeah.
Across the boards, this is quintessential Grindhouse viewing, man. This is good.
I hope it made for a good episode. It's kind of a love fest here, so there's not much hatred going on, but
And
it was a lot of fun.
a hell of an
so.
introduction for Pam.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. So, I'm glad to have her in the grind bin finally. Guys, do you hear that sound?
Oh god.
Oh boy.
How do you think Bobby and DeVito would fit in the world of Big Bird Cage?
It's a quick one. I think the birdcage is really just it was there before anyone else got there, and Bobby and DeVito have been building it for years, and it's basically just one giant peephole from below the earth to look up at these girls. And that's it.
Like the other end of it, like when Mickey went down below to fix it, she goes,
Yeah.
Is that a pizza parlor in Malibu? And just like you just see an orange poof popping up from the bottom, and he goes, "Shit, they're on to us! Close it!"
It's miles and miles of pipe and mirrors to get to this peephole.
Like the biggest periscope of all time. It's just,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chris, that's amazing.
That's a good one.
The birdcage has always been here, and it always will be here.
That's the Ridley Scott movie.
It's just one giant lore for these women. No one knows what it's there. We're just drawn to it, like Easter Island and Stonehenge. You just gotta go.
Yeah.
And the ones that fall don't actually die; they get scooped up. I think it's pretty clear where Karen got the idea on how to go after Mickey, because she remembered that time that a naked, greased-up man scaled the wall into the camp.
Oh no! Oh no!
And started running amok. And so I think there was that moment where she went, remember that time when we heard that sound?
I think that it's kind of a DeVito story.
Oh.
And that, like,
okay.
You know, we don't really know the backstory of DeVito, but I feel like he might have been drafted at one point.
Oh, God.
And, like, we never really
no.
established this as the Philippines, right? So it might actually be Vietnam or something like that. And I feel like DeVito came back, and he kept telling Bobby these stories about this big bird cage with these broads who would grind it all day. And Bobby and DeVito, he's like, one day, Bobby, one day when we get enough money, we'll go back. We'll go back to that place, and I'll show you that big bird cage, Bobby. I'll show you it. And so finally, at the end of the van, DeVito got that money, guys. And he didn't get the money to pay back Bobby. He said, Bobby, I got the money because they can finally go on that vacation to go see the big bird cage. The only problem is they go all the way out to the middle of nowhere. They go through the whole boat trip like they're in Apocalypse Now, right? And they go through everything, and they even go through the Brando camp and all of that, you know. Which, by the way, that's a whole nother movie, you know, Bobby and DeVito in the fucking world of Apocalypse Now. So they go all the way through it, and they get there, and they find out not only is the bird cage burned down and not real, but there's no women's prison at all.
Whoa. No. Oh, man.
And that's when DeVito turns to him and he goes, maybe it was just a state of mind, Bobby. Maybe it was just a state of mind.
It's a real thinking man's ending. I can only...
It was the journey, not the destination.
But you know what, Bobby? The real fun is the fun we had and the friends we made along the way.
And I can only imagine how many times these guys found themselves on the run, and to calm Bobby down, Bobby was like, tell me about the bird cage again, DeVito.
But here's the kicker, is that Bobby, after DeVito says that, he goes, but I'm still horny. They hear a rustling in the bush, and you know who's there? Carla didn't die after all.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And you know what? He met a girl.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Tell me about the bird cage.
Tell me about the bird cage.
As he holds the gun to his head.
I'm sorry, Bobby. It's the only way.
Well, thanks again for joining us, everybody, on another episode of the Grindbin. You can listen to our bonus episodes. By the way, we have an amazing bonus episode that just released a couple weeks ago. We have weekly bonus episodes, weekly mini bins, where we covered an episode of the Brady Bunch. And guys, man, does that have a fucking surprise
That
in it.
may have been the most important mini bin we've ever had.
Yeah.
Maybe the most important, and this is crazy, guys. I think that we actually proved that there are alternate dimensions.
Yes.
And that's not a joke. I'm sure Chris
No,
and
not
Bobby
at
will
all.
agree.
We have entered the
Like
shimmer.
we've all heard, we know about the Mandela effect. You know, I'm sure if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. You all know about Berenstein Bears. We figured it out. We have the key. You know, it's not Sinbad starring in a movie that always starred Shaq.
No.
It's this episode of the Brady Bunch. We found it.
It's how far does this go? All the way to the top. And the only way you're going to find out is on our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Where else can they find us, Mike?
For $2 a month, you can hear that episode. You can find us on grindhousefilm.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Grindbin Podcast, Twitter, or at GrindPod. We're on Instagram and everywhere else you can find podcasts. You can listen to our entire back catalog, which has over 140 episodes, and you can hear them all through your whatever you listen to podcasts on, your podcast app. So,
And if you like what we do, go ahead and in lieu or maybe along with joining our Patreon to catch our mini bin. If you're liking what we're doing, two things I ask of you. One, tell a friend about us. That's the easiest way to spread word about our podcast and help us grow and make a better show for everybody. And two, give us 5 stars on iTunes. That helps a lot too.
yes, 5 stars and a review would be
you go.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Bobby, start the revolution without me.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky got no real rhythm. We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
Oh, the hell with women's live. I'm horny. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
And